If you own an original Xbox, you should do this to it right away before it completely destroys itself. So today I'm going to go through and show you how to kind of refurbish these Xboxes so that they don't end up destroying themselves because of corrosion. When refurbishing these Xboxes, you've got to take the 6 screws out. You've got 4 in each corner, and then you have 2 underneath the stickers that are the security stickers. So if you puncture those, your warranty is void. But these consoles are over 20 years old, so your warranty is void anyway. So once you get the stickers off, or once you get the screws out, excuse me, you can take the lid off the Xbox. Just wiggle it a little bit back and forth, and then it should come right out. After you get that, we're going to want to remove the big ribbon cable from the little slot there, revealing a screw. We got 3 screws that we're going to take out. Also, you got to take out the hard drive cable, which it's easiest with pliers, I've found. After you do that, you can pull out the big ribbon cable from the back of the disk drive, as well as the power cable. Pop that out as well. Both are really easy. And then once you get the 3 screws out, you've got 1 in the middle, and then you've got 2 up front by the disk drive, 1 on the right side and then 1 on the left. Remove those, and then you will be able to pull out the hard drive and the disk drive. Just on the hard drive, you gotta make sure you unwind the cables right there. There's a few little hooks that you just gotta pull them through, and it can be a little tricky, but just keep wiggling it, and then once you get that, it should be able to just slide right out, and then you can set it to the side. Same with the disk drive. Disk drive just pops straight up. Just pull it straight out. Then you are left with the motherboard. You can remove all the cables. You got to remove the power supply cable, which I found easiest with pliers to pull out. And then you've got the controller board cables that need to come out as well. So wiggle those out, get them all free. And then you got to unhook your fans as well. Since this is a 1.0 motherboard, or 1.1, I believe it's 1.1. It's going to have the fan on top of the CPU. So pull the fan off as well. You're going to have to use a screw to get that out. But you also got tons of screws on the motherboard itself. We're going to go ahead and pull out all of those screws and just set them to the side. And if you want as well, a lot of the time, if the power supply is real dirty too, I will take that out. But this one wasn't so bad, so I just used our air gun to blow it off a little bit, and it was just fine. Get the fan off of the GPU, and then you can give it a quick clean. I use a paintbrush to get them clean. Paintbrush is getting all the crevices. Then you're going to want to pull the clamps off of the CPU and the GPU. The one on the CPU comes off pretty easy. The GPU one's a little bit trickier. Then you can pull the radiator cooling things off. Set them to the side. This is the biggest culprit, though, is this clock capacitor. This is what corrodes. Now, with these older motherboards, you can just rip the clock cap out and not replace it. You can if you want to keep the time on the Xbox, but the 1.6 motherboards do require a replacement clock cap. So make sure you know which motherboard you have. I just ripped it out and left it. So the next thing is to get the radiator off of the GPU. It's easiest to just use a air gun to heat up the thermal paste and then pull it off. Otherwise, you risk breaking it. I just like to heat it up a little bit. It comes off very easily. And then I use Goof Off to clean off the excess thermal paste, just to try and get the CPU and the GPU really clean before I apply new thermal paste. And Goof Off is just really good for that kind of crap, so I highly recommend Goof Off. And then I also clean off the back sides of the cooling radiator things. Then I'm going to apply some thermal paste here. I'm a little more liberal with it on the GPU. I kind of like to do an X and then put little dots in between the X spots. And then on the CPU, just run a line of it across, and I call it a day there. It's nice to change out this thermal paste because most of the time it is over 20 years old and kind of crusty. Then you put your radiators back on and put the clamps back on as well. So nothing too crazy there with the thermal paste. After you get the radiators back on, you get the clamps on, you can then reinstall the cooling fan for the GPU, which just sits right back on top. And like I said, the cooling fan on top of the GPU is only I believe it's the 1.1 and maybe the 1.2 motherboards. So remember, you need to know which motherboard you have. And then we can go ahead and reinstall the motherboard. I did give it a quick clean too. I used my paintbrush to brush it off, and then I have an air gun that I took it outside and dusted it off out there because I didn't want to get dust all over my workstation. So that's what I did. I recommend that, and then you can go ahead and put all your screws back in, reapply all your cables, power cords, data cables, all that good stuff. And then we're going to go ahead and set this aside, because the other thing I like to clean up too is the disk drive. Now, this is a different disk drive. I mean, there's many different disk drives that these Xboxes have, but this one is a lot different than most that I do. This one actually has, because I like to change out the belts for these disk drives, but I currently don't have any of the fat belts for the disk drives, and this one, well, not only was it filthy, but it's got one of those longer belts, and I have a whole bunch of the short ones. Typically, I like to swap out the belts because they can get hard and then the disk drives don't open. But anyway, I just gave that belt a quick clean. It seemed to be pretty soft still and functioning, so cleaned up the disk drive, got it all put back together. Now we're reassembling the Xbox. But that is pretty much it. It's pretty easy to refurbish these things. Really, the biggest thing you want to do when it comes to these original Xboxes, you want to get the clock capacitor out. You either want to rip it out if it's an older board, or if it's a 1.6, you want to go ahead and replace it. Like I said, on this console, I just ripped it out and called it a day. So that's it. If you guys got any questions on how we refurbish, let us know.